This upcoming weekend, the NHL is hosting their annual All-Star Skills Competition, followed by the All-Star Game at FLA Live Arena. While the NHL is still sticking with some of the fan favorites, 3 new games are set to make a splashdown in South Florida. Good evening, and welcome back to Penn State Sports Night. I'm Chris Machado, joined alongside Josh Bartosik and Adrianna Gallucci. We all know the classics: fastest skater, hardest shot, breakaway challenge, and accuracy shooting. Even though fans may have already pre-selected their winners, we're more interested in these new challenges and which players are going to shine. Let's get into it. So guys, this year, the NHL, no matter what team you're a fan of, we always look forward to the All-Star Game. We all come together, we take breaks off of beating rivals and securing playoff positions. So, what I want to know from you, and Adrianna, I'll start with you. Which game for the Florida Unique Ones are you looking forward to, and who are you looking forward to competing?
Well, I think all these Florida games are so new and so inventive, but personally, I'm looking forward to the 10D Tandem, which is 8 goalies working in pairs. So that is a goalie shootout, one in net, one shooting on the other. I love a good goalie shootout. Igor Shesterkin actually very close to a goal last week with the Rangers, but so many good goalies coming down to Florida. Of course, Shesterkin from New York, Stuart Skinner from Edmonton, Logan Thompson in Vegas, all making their first All-Star Game appearances, as well as Andrei Vasilevsky with the Tampa Bay Lightning, who has just been so successful so far in his career with Tampa, leading them to 2 Stanley Cup victories. So definitely looking forward to that 10D Tandem.
Yeah, I mean, I love that you had to throw in your Rangers bias a little bit, which I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of that. But I'm talking about the dunk shot, the splash shot, whatever you want to call it. It reminds me of a carnival. Remember those when you were like a little kid and like you had the school fair carnivals and you always want to dunk someone or get dunked? That's exactly what this is, but they're doing it with pucks on a beach in Fort Lauderdale. That is the coolest thing ever. Like, that is just like the little kid in me is finally coming out and gets to watch a bunch of grown men dunk each other with frozen biscuits. It's going to be great. We don't know who's going to be in it, obviously. They haven't announced it yet. It's going to be probably your sharpshooter, so guys like Tage Thompson, who's going to be in his first All-Star game. The regulars, if Sidney Crosby shows up. We know Alex Ovechkin would be a guy, but he's probably going to, bow out like he always does. But no matter who you put on this, throwing guys that are used to being on, frozen ice onto the middle of a beach in the middle of Florida, trying to dunk each other is going to be easily the funniest and coolest thing I think I'm ever going to see.
So those are awesome selections, and unlike previous years, normally we have 5-on-5 tournament classic hockey. But now, this year, instead of Vegas, down in South Florida now, they're going to have a 3-on-3 tournament, 11 players each, representing all 4 conferences. So, what I want to know from both of you, and Josh, this time I'll start with you, which player are you looking for to tally up the most All-Star points?
Well, I kind of mentioned him briefly in that first time, and that's Tage Thompson. I mean, this kid is electric. Dude's got 31 goals and 31 assists in like 40-something games. He's like over almost a point and a half per game. He's single-handedly carrying the Buffalo Sabres right now. He's revitalized Jeff Skinner's career on his line with Skinner himself and Alex Tuch. I mean, he's just been a joy to watch. He had, 4 goals in 1 period against Columbus. Seemingly scores every single night he's on the ice. It's going to be great to see him finally get that recognition. Obviously, there's other players, just even on his own team, that may have missed out. I know we might mention those a little bit later, but Tage Thompson is a guy that has excelled at 5-on-5. He's excelled at 3-on-3 in the overtime scenarios. We've seen it throughout his entire career, and I think we'll definitely see it in Florida next week.
Well, Josh, since you wanted to bring up the Rangers, let's go with none other than the bread man himself, Artemi Panarin. Panarin selected through the fan vote, which was mainly done through Twitter. But Panarin actually leading the Rangers in assists and points. He's got 50 points in 49 games for the Blue Shirts so far this season. Panarin, one of those guys especially who really helped rejuvenate a struggling Rangers team, helped out that kid line with Lafreniere, Hedl, and Kakko, promoted to that first line with Zibanejad and VC, especially throughout Kreider's injuries. So he's been really working hard. He's a really, really underrated guy, but so important to that New York team and to that relatively young squad that I was talking about. So I think it's deserved for Panarin, and I cannot wait to see him shine in the All-Star Game.
All right, so the final thing I have for both of you. I think this season, we can all agree that the way that they put in the NHL players was kind of awkward, especially with, having one player for each team, and then Matty Beniers going injured, and instead of putting in another Kraken player, they add another Vegas player. So, what I want to know from you guys is, Adrianna, I'll start with you. Who got snubbed? Who do you think should be in the All-Star Game down in South Beach?
I agree with you, Chris. It was definitely a weird way that the NHL did things this season, but let's go back to Buffalo. Rasmus Dahlin not getting picked for the All-Star Game. Again, Dahlin, and you mentioned before, Tage Thompson kind of holding Buffalo together throughout their struggles this season. Dahlin having over 50 points, again, in 48 games for Buffalo, really, really holding that squad together. Earlier in the season, he had set a collective goal record for Sabres defensemen with 5. So the fact that he just didn't get that All-Star game was ridiculous. Thompson obviously representing Buffalo, but Dahlin, again, I believe he should have been made an All-Star.
I mean, I think in any other year, he'd be a guy that you would expect to be a first ballot All-Star. I mean, you mentioned Matty Beniers. Now there's even another weird situation with Bo Horvat just getting traded to the New York Islanders. Sorry to Tim and all the other Islanders fans that are back there in the studio, because that was a horrible trade. But he was the All-Star for Vancouver, so what are they going to do with that? But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I have, I myself am not blind. But I just want to really double-check this roster for a second because, I'm not seeing a particular player on here. But, again, I could have missed it. So let's see. We'll go down the list here. No. See, somehow Marty Necas isn't on that list, and I don't understand why. This is a kid that is leading one of the best teams in the NHL in goals and points right now. He's electric. He's one of the fastest skaters. He's been a guy that has rivaled Connor McDavid this season in terms of speed. And even since the All-Star vote ended, he's got 4 points in 4 games. 3 of those goals, he had 2 goals, one of which came with 11 seconds left against the San Jose Sharks to tie the game, and then 20 seconds into overtime to win the game. And it's a guy that's somehow not in the All-Star vote, in the All-Star game. You mentioned that fan vote. I'm going to tell you right now, it was a disgrace. There's no way that was an actual fan vote. I know that everyone in New York and somehow New Jersey loves the Rangers, but there's no way that the amount of impressions and tweets that this kid got did not get him into the All-Star game. It's a travesty. He's one of the best young players in the league, and to not see him in an incredible bounce back year after everyone wanted him gone last year, it's ridiculous. Yes, Andrei Svechnikov and all these other guys are very deserving, but Adam Fox, I'm sorry, I know you're a Rangers fan. He should not be in the All-Star game. Put someone that people want to see.
I think that was my problem with the fan vote, too, because I will admit right now that I did tweet out, Adam Fox, Chris Kreider, I basically tweeted the entire roster. But, now looking back at that fan vote, I'm kind of like, really? Adam Fox? Love the guy, but...
Gary Bettman strikes again, what can I say?
Exactly. Is he really All-Star game material? And, that's a big, big problem with having that social media presence.
I'm very disgusted right now.
Now, I'm not going to lie to you two. Even I had to chime in on this. And I'm taking a trip to St. Louis, Missouri, Jordan Kyrou. I understand where St. Louis was coming from, putting in Vladimir Tarasenko. You want to make him happy because it's his contract year. But at the end of the day, this is who's leading your team in points. He's got 47 points in 47 games played, so he's averaging a point per game, 23 goals and 24 assists. In my eyes, Kyrou's having a breakout year, and I've caught a lot of Blues hockey this year on ESPN+. He never fails to impress me. There's a lot to look forward to this upcoming weekend for the NHL fans everywhere. From exciting events to fresh new faces, this is where the best of the NHL get to show off and display their skills that make them the best of the best. The creativity that these players will give the fans will create memories and moments that will be cherished by all. That's all the time we have for you tonight. For Josh Bartosik and Adrianna Gallucci, I'm Chris Machado. Thank you for watching and have a good night.
Hey everybody, thank you for tuning into this edition of Penn State Sports Night. We hope you liked that segment.
And we're sure there's other Penn State Sports Night segments that you are going to love as well. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content.
And check us out on social media for updates and behind-the-scenes clips and pics. Follow us on Twitter at PSSN TV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with all the action.
For all of us here at the Belisari Media Center, we are
Penn State Sports Night.